our chapter 4, maybe take up to the first two subsections. Okay? Sige. I'll start right now, ha? So let me share my screen. By the way, I'm going to end early so that you can meet your groups, no? And discuss about how to continue your IAP. Because a week after next will be already the submission. So it's quite near already. Okay. So allow me to share my screen. Wait for a while, huh? I was trying to open it some seconds ago. Oh, which one ba? Okay, this one na lang muna. Then I'll shift. Okay. So, what you see on your screen right now?
Slides means
Module.
data management
Yeah.
module.
Okay. Thank you. Sige, Module 4, Data Management. This is our last chapter. The rest of the chapters are actually optional topics, no? So, at the end of this module, the student should be able to process data using statistical tools. By statistical tools, I mean those gadgets like calculator, whatever, scientific calculator, statistical calculator, whatever softwares you have, statistical packages you have. Now, uh, for discussion's sake, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to use Excel data analysis tool pack. Okay. So if you would like to use that statistical package that you are that you are used to, that you are familiar with, like what? SPSS, MATLAB, and there are so many others, class. There's so many other statistical packages. And even when you go to what uh, Google and look for some statistics, those statistics, I'm I'm not I'm not telling you that all, ha. If you look for, say, chi-square statistics, when you search for that, along the way, you'll encounter a calculator, a certain parang formula there that when you use will give you the chi-square coefficient. Okay? So, i-feed mo lang ang numbers into their formula, and right away, after a few seconds, i-click mo lang, makakita ka na ng value for chi-square. There's so many um, statistical packages and and parang in quote, no, calculators that will allow us to do certain computations and get the results in just a few seconds. Okay? So no need to show the um, computations, the manual computations. Okay? So in your IAP, I also don't expect you to show the computations. Instead, you summarize, you copy the computations as shown from the what? From the source, and then buhatig table, interpret. So that's all about statistical. By the way, some of you will not be processing data using statistical tools because your data are qualitative. So kung qualitative, I expect na you will perhaps not use the statistics that others are using or may be using. Next, summarize results in different forms. From the use of statistical packages or whatever, you'll be able to see the results. When I was telling you a while ago na kopyahon na na nimo, i-present na nimo ang results, I'm referring to the tables that you're going to construct, the graphs, the the charts, no, that you're going to show, to present, to discuss your data. Remember, I like the discussion, especially for quantitative, those who have quantitative data, that I like your discussions to be aided with charts, graphs, pictographs, um, tables, and they should be catching. Okay? So summarize those and in different forms, and then spend more time in the discussion, in expressing, in saying what you want, in saying what your data are about. So, ang imong dapat i-reveal should be, say, trends, no? Patterns perhaps, or whatever there that you want us to know. Now, next, read and interpret figures and graphs correctly to obtain meaningful results. By the way, class, I don't like very long discussions, very long interpretations, very long reading. Ayaw i-interpret tagsa-tagsa ang bars or pies, the wedge or the slices in your pie chart, or every row in your table, every column in your table. Discuss only the salient points in your tables, graphs, pictographs, whatever. Okay? After every table, after every graph, after whatever, should be should be followed by the interpretation. So graph or table, then interpret. Graph or table, interpret. Ayaw ting ba pag-show ang tables or graphs or pictographs and then have the discussions on a separate piece or sheet? No, dili na pwede. So kailangan may sequence of presentation. Okay? And make sure that the objectives are answered with your presentation. So always refer to your statement of the problem, statement of the objectives, so that you will not get so many questions from me. Okay? Next, if ever your study is a correlational study, a relation study, relationship study, I mean, impact, whatever, effectiveness, make sure that that has an answer, or that's doable. When I say doable, makaya na pag-answer from your data set. So if ever you're mentioning some objectives that you think can't be discussed, answered, pwede na i-rephrase inyong problem, or how do you call this one? Sometimes no, I suggest omit that problem. So the omission of the problem can sometimes lighten the load. Okay? Pero lagi ang impact of that would be parang there's not so much that can be learned from your IAP. So kana ang medyo ang setback, no? So while okay. If you want to do predictions class, forecasting, I want uh, especially that uh, when doing predictions, you have to reveal the equation, you have to show the model that you have arrived at. I want a very short discussion on how it's derived, ang derivation, ana. Usually, the derivation of the model or equation comes from regression analysis. Our data analysis from Excel has contains regression. So, kung gamit ka sa Excel's data analysis, please quote it, mention it. ma-Excel man, ma-SPSS man, whatever, please mention that software that you are using to come up with whatever uh, figures you have in your tables or presentations. I-mention lang, ayaw lang ipakita ang computations. Okay? There are more to know or to show. Okay? So, in the course of the discussion of chapter 4, you will learn. Okay? And you will get some hints. Now, module 4 has only 4 subsections. I really tried to divide this well so that I will not be spending more time because I know that you had statistics before, that you had the the formulas on how to compute this and that. Okay? Sige, 4.1 is about the review of common terms, 4.2 data visualization, and then we have 4.3 and 4.4. Okay, I'll just try to check if I would still have time to continue to 4.3 and 4.4. I'm aiming to finish 4.1 and 4.2 this morning. Okay, so let's go to review of common terms. On this slide, on this page rather, you see parang a discussion on the internet speed in Asia. Okay, this is a pictograph class. So if you can manage to say present information using pictures, it's highly appreciated. Parang it's a deviation from the usual. What unsa ang usual? The tables, the graphs, charts, bar chart, histogram. Okay, mo man na ang kasagaran, di ba? The usual presentations. So, kung pwede mabuhatan ni mo pictograph, um, that would be a plus point. Now here on this slide, if you notice, the internet speed in Asia or of the countries in Asia are already arranged. So the arranged data is what we call the array, A-R-R-A-Y. Diretso na niya arrange. And if you are looking for our beloved country, you cannot find Philippines. Why? Well, you know naman, the internet speed here is quite very slow. Okay? So, we have here on the right side of the picture, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. The highest, the top 5 countries with the highest or fastest internet speed. Okay. So, again, may I tell you that you have raw and array parang discussed on this page. Sige, let's go to the next slide. The best phones for 2020 in the world. Okay? So, supposing your IAP would like to parang study about, present a study, present information. Remember class, ang inyong IAP is not really a research, no? But it's going to study something. Okay? So supposing your interest is on phones, you want to know about the best phones in the world. But this is for 2020 class. Okay? I don't know about for 2021 and for 2022. Okay. So kung ganahan mo, if you want to go solo, you can grab this. Pero ayaw lang ang 2020 ha. Maybe for the last 3 years, 2022, 2021, 2020. Okay. So there are 10 phones compared here. They're compared in terms of price, the lowest price, which is omitted, not the information is not presented, the rating, who usually rates, Okay, mga editor or what who parang people, no? Na parang with I don't know, no? I am not really familiar with who usually rates give ratings to phones. So, may I say na ratings, operating system, CPU, dimension, screen size, screen resolution, and camera resolution. So, those are the parang uh, key areas for which the phones are to be compared. Okay, the discussion is not here. Parang it's just trying to present uh, the raw information about the phones. I don't think the information here are arranged. I think they're not arranged. Wait for a while. Not arranged yet. Okay? So this is raw. Wa pa analyze. Now, let's go to the most important terms in statistics. And most likely you get this you'll hear this question, these terms from me. So first pair is population and sample. So if you are asked, what are your subjects? I'm referring to the population and to the sample. So you want to study about, and you're taking this group to study about. Okay? So the entirety, the all, is the population. The part of your population that you are using to study that population is your sample. And your sample must be a good, representative one. So that's why I gave a hint last time na you go for 30 or more. Kung kaya ng study mo, ng pag-gather ng data mo, ang 30 or higher, please have. If, for example, there are no more subjects that could qualify, okay, then reason out, okay? Because some in cases class there are limitations usually and they are going to be accepted. So kung naay limitations sa mga study, wala ka na makita, kay ka na ra ang naa, then I'm going to accept that. Okay, but don't go for just 5, ha? Because what can we get? What information can we get from 5? Only 5? Only 10? Parang you're just presenting a case study, and case study should be in-depth ang discussion. And sige, let's go to parameter and statistic. Parameter and statistic should be in pair. Parameter refers to the calculation of a certain okay. Again. You have a population and you want to compute, say, the average of a certain variable in your population. That computation derived from your population data is what we call a parameter. It's called a parameter. But that computation derived from a sample is called a statistic. Okay? Statistic without S because it's just one example mean. Sample mean. Sample mean X bar, small x, with a bar over it, or capital X with a bar over it. Kana siya, notation na siya or symbol for sample mean. Okay? Now, sample mean or sample average, they're just the same. The true value, meaning katong compute from the population, that's the true value of the mean, is denoted by a Greek letter mu. You know how to write mu? Okay, it looks like U, tapos may ikog sa left and right side. Okay? So, that mu is said as the true value of your uh, mean. The estimate of that is the statistic. So parameter versus statistic. That's why the sample must be a representative sample so that the estimate is a good one, a better one. Excuse me. Now let's go to variable. Variable, there are so many ways to describe variable. Daghan na siya. In terms of quanti-quali, pwede man na qualitative variable, quantitative variable. Kung data na, qualitative data, quantitative data. And then, categorical data, numerical data. That's the data itself. Pero kung variable ha, we mean that uh, that characteristic that will yield us that categorical data or numerical data. So when we say categorical variables, a variable that can be measured with names or labels or with categories. Numerical variables that takes a variable that takes values that are numeric, number informed, number informed. And example, okay, when say gender, gender is categorical. Why sometimes we code gender into 0 and 1 class is because we want to parang do something to process our gender. Maybe relate it with something else. So parang gi-convert lang. But the 0 and 1 that you assign or 1 and 2 that you assign to genders should not have any bearing to the gender itself or to the sex itself. Oh. Wala siya. Label lang na siya. Okay. Now, license plates are not numeric, but they are categorical. Your ID number is not numerical, but categorical. Why? ID number? Because it defines a number, an ID number rather, identifies something. Okay? Let's go to numerical variable. When we say numerical, sometimes the result is a whole number, and sometimes it's a whole number with a decimal part or a fraction. If that is the case, then you're talking about the discrete and continuous cases. Discrete means the result of counting. That's why you have whole. Example, deaths, cases, cars, houses. Continuous data, um, yung may decimal. So, aside from the whole part, the uh, the decimal after the point to the right of the decimal. Sorry, the point there. Sorry, class, because of, again, my throat. Okay. So, IQ, if I use IQ as a variable, IQ is sometimes a categorical variable because um, if you say that your IQ is above average or excellent or whatever, categorical man na siya. But when you say the number, but when you give a number for your IQ, say, my IQ is 122, that means numerical siya. Okay? Age. When you say age, 16 years old, that's discrete. But when you say 16 point blank blank blank, okay, my days, there is something after the decimal point, that's continuous. But in most cases, age is converted into discrete. Parang gi-round off into years. Okay? So, kung wala na si months, si days, si hours, and seconds, discrete na siya. Continuous, there's so many. Temperature, weight, height, area, amount of water, amount of liquid, what else? Space. That's continuous. Time is continuous, class. Okay. Now, let's go to descriptive statistics and statistical inference. Now, some IAPs in this class will be revealing descriptive statistics. When I say reveal statistics, descriptive statistics, you show the mean median mode, maybe standard deviation, variance, skewness, kurtosis, and many others to describe the data. Especially if it's numeric in form, kailangan ma-describe na siya pag-ayo before you present the charts, tables, whatever there is to be presented. Okay? So, kung ang intention mo lang is just to do descriptions, then you use descriptive statistics. Don't show computations. Instead, you use, how do you call this one? You use statistical packages to show the finished values. Ibutang lang sa table para they're in attractive form. Kaya kung ikatag mo na siya, sometimes we have this tendency to ignore values. Okay? Next, statistical inference. When we say statistical inference, there is this parang intention to make conclusions about the population. But before the making of the conclusions, naka-describe muna ang maybe variables, no? So in addition to the descriptive statistics, the formulating of the HO and HA, and then the coming up of the validation of the HO and HA, wherein you would reveal the rejection of your HO in favor of HA, and the rest of the hypothesis testing procedures. So kung na siya nga part, that means you are in the inferential side of statistics. So descriptive stat, descriptive stat and the inferential stat. Okay. By the way, I forgot to mention, statistical inference will make use of your level of significance. The alpha, remember, 0.05, 0.01, or the alpha for which we are going to accept your HO and HA. Kung naa kaana, nagplano kaana, and it's clearly stated in your objective, example ha, is there a significant relationship between blank and blank? Nigamit ka word significant. Okay. Prepare yourself for the statistical inference, okay, or the inferential stat to be used. Next, tables and graphs. By the way, we have to label tables accordingly. So kung mag-label kang table, say table blank, then the title. When you label graphs, pictographs, charts, you say figure class, figure blank, the number, and then period, and then give the title. Okay. Now tables contain rows and columns with categorical labels with headings. So kailangan may headings ang bawat column. And the rows must contain figures that might be in number form or that are maybe in categorical form. So we don't expect all our tables to be containing numbers na may uban na instead sa number makita nimo ang category. Okay? Now graphs should are visual presentations, and there are quite a many graphs, no? Just like tables, daghan sa kaya ng tables. But when you present a graph, make sure that I don't ask further questions like, what is the x-axis about? What is the y-axis about? What's the scaling here? Isa guhit, pila man. Okay? So there should be a scaling provided. Legend must be there. Anything related to the understanding of your tables and graphs should be there. Now, probability and proportion. Usually sa proportion or percentage, we have a column showing the percentage. Ang label ng column is percentage, the percentage symbol, for which you have the entries down or under as the number of successes divided by the number of total number in the sample. Okay? And the total of the, there should be a total row, no? The total of the percentages should be exactly 100%, not just 99.99 or 100.01%. Kailangan ma 100%. So how do you remedy, how do you make it become, the total become 100%? Hint, okay, inspect the rounding of the figures. Now, probability, just in case ang study nimo is about or discuss about probabilities, take note class that the expression of probability is something from 0 to 1 or from 0 to 100%. Okay? So those are the most important statistical terms that maybe will be asked about your IAP. Now let's go to data visualization 4.2. Data visualization is the graphic representation of your data, and it's a must class, is a must, because I've heard that some of you are planning to have qualitative and quantitative study. Quali-quanti siya. Okay lang na kayo. It's very good to have that kind of information. I mean, data. So, ang information, the representation of data or the revealing of information from that data will be varied. Okay? Varied kaayo na siya. Daghan kag mahimo ana. So, um, please exhaust all means or ways to present your data. Okay? To understand your data. Now, but be careful, class. Behind a table or any graph is a picture that speak 1,000 words. So, kung parang kulang ang discussion mo, well, don't expect the maximum points to be given to your IAP. Okay? Kay, if there's something that should be said, that should be mentioned, that should be discussed about your data, say it. But in briefly, say, reveal information briefly. Ayaw kaayo daghana og yaw-yaw niya tapos balik-balik. It's so monotonous to hear repeated discussions or parang style or format. Okay? So, like for example, I'll give you a concrete example. You are presenting a bar graph. Tapos kada bar na mag-stand, i-discuss nimo. No, that's not the way. We always mention kung na bar graph, what it's about, and what are the top three, bottom three, something like that. Okay? Or if there's a particular parang category that you wish to be described, interesado ka, kaya diri ka na belong, or you point out that. So you have to be very careful in creating your bars, your graphs. Ayaw pag-create og something just because you know how to create it. It should be something that is appropriate for your data. So, for example, tanaw ka sa pikas na group, naghimo sila. Ay, maghimo sad ta because they're making this and that. Class, that's not the reason. Okay? It should be because it's needed. It's because the variables, the data variables call for those. So, kung di kailangan, ayaw. Kung kailangan, sige. Okay? And who decides to have two-dimensional, three-dimensional? Kamu lang, your group. Okay? I know, class, I will not discuss how to create, how to construct bar graphs, line charts, etc. because I know you can make better ones, more beautiful ones. Okay? So, kung panangitan you're using Google Forms to collect your data, Google Forms can create, can produce colorful and more beautiful, limpyo pa ang ilang bar graphs or charts there. Okay? Compared to Excels or PowerPoints outputs. Ang PowerPoint, pwede po na siya mohimo og mga charts o whatever. Pero I appreciate Google Forms outputs. Guwapa, limpyo, simple. I-enhance mo lang gamay. Okay? Sige. Um, there are several different tables and types of charts. Now, talking about tables, if I suggest, do a frequency distribution, I mean the frequency table. Do a percentage distribution, I'm referring to the percentage table. Do a scatter plot, especially kung there is the intention to present correlation relationship. You wanna show a scatter plot first about your X and Y variables. Do that. You can. And then, uh, wait for a while, Lobats. You want us to see a line graph, a bar graph, a histogram, a pie chart, a Gantt chart, Pareto chart, stem leaf plot, box plots, pwede. For as long as you know what they are, what each is. Okay? And the aptness of that sa business, daghan kaayong Gantt charts, Pareto charts, and the stem leaf plot, I know some of you have done this before. The stem leaf plots would give you an advance parang information about how the bar chart histogram would look like. Okay? Maka-idea ka na ana if you know how to make a stem leaf plot. Okay? But ang Excel wala siya stem leaf plot. It doesn't even have a box plot, I think. Wala siya. Pero the other statistical packages have. What are box plots? Box whiskers plot, box plots, pareho lang na siya. These are parang floating rectangles. These are the 5-number summary in rectangular form that contain siya 5 information. The mean, no, wait. The median, the quartiles, two quartiles, Q1 and Q3. And the minimum and maximum values. So your range. Okay? Know more about the box plus because like SPSS, it has box plots. It can produce box plots. Click mo lang, tapos just mention the and if you notice, the bars already arranged. Because, look at the title. Sorry, no, wala si figure something and then diretso lang sa title, disease deaths per day worldwide. Okay, so to catch our attention on the leading diseases, okay, that cause more deaths. Okay, so if you're trying to look for COVID-19, here is our COVID-19. Pero unsa ni nga year? And what is this in millions? In thousands? Parang there's something kulang in this presentation. Okay? That's my comment. So look, there are scarier deaths, diseases, no? Other than uh, COVID-19. So this is a horizontal bar chart. Now, the discussion should not be uh, per per disease, but maybe on the top five or the bottom five, or in particular about the COVID-19. Ayaw tagsa-tagsa. If there's something that is interesting to you, kana i-discuss na. Okay? So, what we want is the overall information or the impression of your uh, picture. Unsay makita, unsay masabi, unsay trend, unsay whatever. Okay. Now, let's go to pie charts and line graphs. Regarding pie charts, I'm giving you this example, but I have a very strong comment. Where are the percentages? A pie chart should contain percentages, and they're not here. Okay? And then this is a very simple pie chart. Some pie charts are in 3D. 2D naman siya, no? Okay, 3D. And where some wedges are parang removed. Not really removed, but made to fly out from the hole. Okay? And there used to be a term about that, blown out. I forgot the out or up ba siya. Anyway, the total of weights regarding the use of pie chart, when there are so many categories to reveal, say about 15, daghana na siya, do not use pie charts, class. Why? Because there's this tendency to see small pies, very small pies, and take note that each is to be labeled. Okay, kailangan na ang label dyan sa pie chart, not separated. Although some prefer to have a legend uh, here, tapos may color, tapos unsa ang color. Okay, anyway, I prefer the labels as well as the percentages to be in each slice already. So if there are 15 or more, go for tables, go for charts, bar graphs, or histogram. Okay, now let's go to this one. This is a Gantt chart. So look at this. And by the way, this is a nicely done Gantt chart, so summarized, presenting the first cases of these four uh, places or locations or categories. Okay? And this is time series data. When your data have something to do with time may be in months, years, dates, or whatever, time series na siya. Okay? So, this visualization of data done in this form can lead you to a very good discussion about what uh, about the information that you wish us to see, you want us to see or learn. Okay. Next, I have here activities. Now, the first activity is hmm, about this graph, about this picture here. So I have here a line chart, a line graph. Identify each graph, tell a short story about what you see in each picture. If you take a closer look, look at the x-axis that speaks about time or date. Look at the y-axis, it speaks about the running number of active cases. So these are the active number of cases. And the line chart is composed of 6 different colors. There are 5 different line charts here because they represent the countries, the Southeast Asian countries. Okay? So, look at this. Mm. So, when there's so many to present, and that so many is parang they seem to be balik-balik na, and if you intend to make a separate by chart, bar chart for each. Parang sagwa tingnan, no? So this is one way to compile. Look, need to check it out. And then the discussion would be, would just follow and may vary according to your style. Okay? Now, let's go to the right side picture. We have here the Asia's internet speeds. However, the internet speeds of the top five countries are no longer shown or contained here. Instead, we have from Thailand to here. So the one in bluish color is ang web siguro na, no? And then the one in greenish is for mobile. So look. Okay, and then uh, you can do a comparison about the web and mobile. You can talk about which countries have, other than the top five, have the fastest speeds, okay, fastest web speed or fastest mobile speed. Okay? So daghan na kag mayaw-yaw aning yan. Okay. COVID-19 follows the exponential curve. F of x equals e to the power x. This is the exponential curve graph. Ana ang graph. So looking back at the total deaths before, no? At the start, at the onset, di ba? Mababa muna. Tapos biglang nagtaas. That's why schools were closed. If I were to remember, March 15 yun mi nag-close. Okay? Tapos biglang and for 2 years, it was enjoying that kind of curve. Tapos after some time, nagbaba na siya. Okay? So, exponential. F of x equals e to the power x. Activity 3, any interesting comment about the data here? So parang what you're asked is a discussion about what can be observed, what can be, not hypothesized, but what can be drawn out from this information regarding the best phones in the world for year 2020. Okay, next part. How to obtain descriptive statistics summaries. A while ago, I was telling you that you don't show the computations, the manual computations that you did. No. Instead, you just mentioned the statistical package that you were using to come up with that, with the results. So kailangan na ay yaw-yaw ana ha. And the results. So the results in what form? Naka-table na, naka-chart na. Okay. So, and then the drawing of the graphs, some guides, just read this one. Now, wait a regarding the descriptive statistics summaries, it's really my intention to parang discuss today the Excel, how to load Excel data analysis tool pack to your laptop, to your Excel kung wala pa siya. But if your laptop is Mac, na I separate instructions on how to load Excel data analysis. I I had one, I discarded it, kay my laptop is not Mac man. So, um, class, i-search nyo na lang ang para sa instructions sa Mac. So this is for non-Mac laptops. Okay? So this loading of Excel analysis toolpack, just like to read the link, and the displaying the descriptive summaries here could be easily done. Now, regarding the making of histograms, graphs, charts, line charts, kamo na lang bahala ani. I will not discuss this anymore. So, next meeting, during our next meeting Tuesday, during our face-to-face meeting on Tuesday, I expect you to have loaded your Excel analysis tool pack add into your Excel. Okay? And then I'll continue on Tuesday the how to show, how to display the descriptive stats summaries, and how to do the interpretation. To be followed by 4.3 linear correlation and the 4.4, which is about the simple linear regression. After that, we'll end. Okay? But before we'll go, please try to see this one. Okay, this is what I mean by the descriptive statistics summary. So, ang makita ninyo from clicking descriptive stats sa Excel data analysis is a table that shows the following. Okay? Isang click lang pero daghan siya gihatag. So first, they're in order. These are in order as I think. I did do something to the presentation. I think the first that you'll see is the mean, then followed by standard error, median, mode, standard deviation, sample variance, kurtosis, skewness, range, minimum, maximum, sum, count, largest x, smallest x, and then the confidence level. Some of this, by the way, what does each mean? You can read it from here, ang description niya. Now, some of this can be removed if, for example, walang use. Di sa nimo i-interpret. Okay. So if you can remove them or delete them. Pero they're compact mango, they're in parang wholesale. Pag-click mo appear sila tanan. So interpret only those that are so useful and necessary. Sometimes the confidence level or the percentage, I omit this in the discussion. And sometimes the minimum, the maximum, the largest, and the smallest refer to the same values. Pareho lang na siya. So it's either I omit the largest x, the smallest x, retain minimum, maximum. Okay? And ang sum of ang count may be there. Okay ra na. The range also may be there. Okay. So that's it. That's one thing that I forgot to include in my slides kanina. So, I'm done presenting. Are there questions? Class, are there questions? So, there's still so much time, I know, but I wanted to meet your group. Last night, I wasn't able to finish the summarize. I wasn't able to finish the table on the summaries of IAPs with the titles. I did already 5 summaries, pero for the other sections, not for your section. Okay? So maybe tonight, early tonight, I could share that with you. Okay, so go ahead with your IAP na. Kahapit na ang submission of the IAP. Okay? So Nan, thank you so much guys. Bye-bye. Please